I'm not sure what part of the world you're watching us from, but I'm glad you're here, and I'm sure we're all glad you're here. Okay, so without taking too much of your time, I would introduce myself. My name is Buki Odushota, and I'm co-hosting today. Well, actually, I'm hosting today. Sorry, I don't have any other person joining me to host. So I'm your host today. So I'll be running through this with you and the wonderful ladies we've got here this afternoon. It's afternoon here in London. I'm not sure where you're joining from. You might be joining from America, but wherever you're joining from, you're welcome. This is Trinity Chapel, Ladies Lounge. And, you know, I mean, if you've been here before, then welcome back. But if you haven't been, you're most welcome. We're so happy to have you on board this evening or afternoon or morning, wherever you're watching from. Okay, so I think we've got a couple of ladies here. I will just keep talking and wait. Once we hit number 20, then I would start and ask the ladies to introduce themselves. But before we do that, if you have a friend that you don't want to miss this particular episode, because I can tell you, you're in for an amazing time, not just to discuss about this topic, but I can tell you that after today, your life would not be the same, because you're going to leave here with some nuggets that you can take with you that will make a difference to you, to your life, and to whatever career path you're treading, whether business or even proper career in the office or any organization that you want to, or even you're trying to relaunch yourself after being out of the setting for a bit. But ladies, sit down, relax. Like I said, if you have anybody that you know should be here and they just need a nudge, because sometimes people need a nudge, we forget. Some might be having a quick nap after church, or some are just in the kitchen, just trying to wrap up dinner, like I just finished and jumped on this, so you might have some like that who are just trying to wrap up. Just give them a quick nudge and tell them it's about to go down and we're starting very soon, or now more or less. So ladies, without taking too much of your time, because we only have till 5 p.m. and we want to maximize. There's so many questions, and I know you also have a lot of questions you want to be asking the panelists this afternoon. But before we start, can I just give you very quick ground rules? If you have any questions, kindly pop them in the chat. We will be, monitoring that and taking your questions as we go along. And I mean, for some of you, it might be that you want to contribute, because I know that we're powerful ladies. A lot of ladies out there are doing great things. We also want to hear from you to share your experience as well. So whatever it is that you want to do, whether you want to contribute or you're looking forward to asking a question from our wonderful panelists, please, just quickly pop that in the chat as they're coming to you, so we're not wasting time and we can quickly get the questions answered or those contributions out to the people here, so that every one of us can benefit from it. Okay, so also, if you think you want to speak and you definitely want to say something, just put up your hand as well. You would see the button that allows you to raise your hand up, and of course, if we're not too tight with time, we will definitely get you to share whatever it is that you want to share. So like I said, without wasting too much of your time, we're going to start. And I'm going to be introducing the panelists to you, but they would get to tell you a little bit more about themselves, what they've been doing this past couple of years, and why they think that they're the right people or right fit to be sharing with us today. So yeah, you're going to be hearing from both of them. And they're none other than the ones you've seen on the flyers that were sent out. I've got here with me Yemi Lasisi. She's laughing, she understands why, because I've known her for young. So yeah, I've got here with me Yemi Lasisi, and I've also got here with me Wande Badegeshin. We call her Wendy. So welcome, ladies, and thank you so much for giving your time out to come and share with the other ladies on your journey so far and what you've done to be able to acquire or get to wherever you are at the moment. And yes, we're 20 people online. Fantastic. So yes, please go for it, ladies. Any one of you can go first. Introduce yourself. Let's find out from you, you know, what you do, why you think you're qualified to be talking to us today. And then, of course, what's your family background like? Because ladies want to know, is she speaking from my point of view? It's easier to feel you when they know that you're feeling the same thing. Yeah. So ladies, over to you. Thank you so much.
Okay. I'm happy to go first.
Okay, then please go for it.
Okay. So hello, everyone. Yeah, a few people online might know who I am. My name is Yewande. Yeah, people call me Wande, and yeah, some people call me Wendy. It's a nickname from when I was very young. So yeah, my background. So let me see, what do I say first? So I'm an engineer. That's how I introduce myself mostly for a career. I'm a systems engineer. I have a background in electrical electronics engineering, which I studied at university, and then I got my master's degree in control systems engineering. I've been working in the rail industry in the UK for about 12 years now. I have a number of engineering qualifications and charterships and things that we can probably get to later on in the future. Feels a bit like a job interview now, being put on the spot saying, why am I qualified to be speaking to you? Well, I'm someone, most people who are close to me do know me, and I'm hoping that you will get some of this today. I'm someone who I definitely believe that we can all fly in our respective fields. I believe that there's so much room at the top for us to grow. I'm someone who is always about people being able to bring their full potential to what they do. So I'm all about, yeah, achieving that purpose in whatever field it is that you're called to. So I'm an engineer, and I'm looking forward to tell you that even as an engineer, there's so much that you can achieve. It's not just about that technical degrees. It's not just about screwdrivers, which some people think about. It's about what you can actually do to impact your society and sort of influence the world. So yeah, I think is that a fair introduction for now? And then I'll just pass it over to Sisi Yemi to introduce herself as well.
Hello, thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
So my name is Yemi Lasisi. Buki was going to call me Yemi Williams because she knew me from secondary school. So my name is Yemi Lasisi. I'm a mom of two. I'm married to my husband, Afiz. And at the moment, I'm the head of IT in my company. I work for an international charity company. I've been there for ages. And I started as a help desk person. I started right from the bottom and I worked my way up to where I'm at the moment. So I've run a team of six. I run a team of six, and I'm happy at my role. It's hard work, and I'm inspired to people to, I'd like to let people know how I got here, because everybody has different routes to get into where they're going to get to. Some people go straight to the top. Some of us have to work our way to the top. So it's all different for everybody. I'm one of those people that will get to the top, and I won't pull the ladder of how I got up. I would encourage people to come up that ladder. So that's why I'm here at the moment.
Hallelujah. Wow. I'm sure you can see that these ladies are on fire, right? And of course, it's so good to know that, like when they said, it's important that we ensure that we go for our full potential. So how many of you are here this evening and you're thinking there's more to me that I'm giving out? When they just told us here now that you've got to go for it. We've got to ensure that we drop it all. There's no point taking anything back. God gave it to us and we want to exhaust everything we've got. Yeah. And then I just love the fact that, Yemi had to introduce herself and let us realize that, look, she started off from the help desk. So you're here and you're thinking, you know what? There's no career progression here. And she said she's been with the same company now. So sometimes people think, oh, because you're with the same company, things can change. They already know me. They don't see me as anything like a leader or something. You know what? There's so much encouragement for you now this afternoon. We haven't even started. I'm already encouraged. And I bet you are as well. Yeah. So ladies, like I said, get your questions out. If you're feeling them, please, let's know that you're feeling them in the chat. Yeah, drop those nuggets, drop those, hands raised, and then, give them the high five to let them know that they're doing a good job, right? Okay, so now, ladies, we want to know. Thank you, Wande. We know you're an engineer, and of course, Yemi works in the IT department. So did you start out? Was that what you studied in secondary school? And from when you started thinking about mapping out your career, uni and all that, was this where you were thinking of going, or did you have to change your route along the line? It would be lovely to hear from you, ladies.
you want to go first this time?
I'll go first this time. Okay. Have I always been? How would I say this? I've always liked IT. I've always been a technology because I remember in Nigeria after I finished my JAM. We did JAM. So I knew in our house everybody came back after we went back to Nigeria. Everybody did their secondary school and came back to England. So I knew that I was going to come back to England. So I was at home just waiting for to come back. My mom said you can't be at home and do nothing. So you have to be doing something. So she got me to do Poly Jam, and then I had to do Poly Jam, and then she got me to go to Debbie's. There was a computer school called Debbie's in Ikeja at the time. So because I was bored at home, I went to that school. I went there. So when I came to England, by the time I came to England, I had gone past by then to get into college. You could only get in September. Now you have entry in January, is it February? But before it was only in September. So I came in October. So I missed that slot. So my sister, like my mom, said, you can't just sit at home doing nothing. So I got into a computer school called Kalamazoo in Old Street at the time. So that was my flair for computers. So when I went into university, I did my college in business and finance, and then I did my BTech National, that's in business and finance for 2 years. And then I went on to have my degree in business information systems and IT. But I wasn't supposed to go into business information IT. So you can see that God has been directing my path via people. So I got into Westminster University at Harrow. That was for business and finance. So I thought, oh, I don't want to, I don't, my friends were here. I didn't want to leave my friends in Essex. So one of my friends called me up and she goes, oh, yeah, you know, there's an entry. We all know you like your technology. I've always gone to computer school. And she goes, Middlesex, there's a slot for business information systems and IT. So I just called and I registered and they said, oh, we got a spot. But then you had to have your points, all your UCAS points and all that. So I got there, they got my result. I was fine. I got in. And that was how my journey started. So obviously, yeah, I started with that. And I had different jobs. I went in, but obviously I did contracting, and the field I've been at is mostly dominated with men. I've had contracts where there are only men and there are 16 guys, and I'm the only lady. I remember the one contract I went into, it's supposed to be a 2-week contract. And the director said, well, welcome, Victoria. It's nice to have you on board. They call me Victoria at work. It's nice to have you at work. But the last lady we had here didn't last a couple of days. Let's see how long you last for. I didn't think that was very nice. So I just thought, okay, let's see how long we last. I stayed there for a whole year. And then, and it was very nice. I enjoyed it. So I've also been to places where it's been challenging, but yes, it's something I love. As I said, I started from the beginning. I worked my way up the top. I had a lot of challenges. I won't go into it now till Buki asks what kind of challenges I went through, but it was very hard. It wasn't smooth sailing. At some point, I remember getting into work because people that know me on here will know I'm an early riser. So I get into work, I start work by 7:30, 8 in the morning. Then I had to lay hands on the tables of the people that were giving me trouble. And, I would lay hands and I would pray and I was speaking tongues. I'm thinking, I hope they don't have cameras here because they might call me to the room and say, Victoria, we're a bit worried about you here. But no, they didn't have cameras. So I went there, I laid hands and I prayed, and it's been years, quite a few years. But then, yes, I'm only thankful, but it's nice when you see people that you can motivate and you can tell your story to, so it won't be so difficult. They don't have to go through the struggles that we've been through. So we can tell them, this is how it might not work for you, but this is how we did it. This is the way we didn't do it, that you should do it. So they're looking back, there's some things that I wish I had done earlier in my career. Don't sit down and think people are going to see that you're doing hard work and they think they're going to point you out. You need to talk. You need to have a voice, and your voice has to be slightly louder than usual, because they'll just say, well done, and they'll pass you by. Well done. But if you say, look, I'm doing this is my job description, and this is what I'm doing outside my job description, this is what I've learned, there's no way you can. It's always good to talk out loud. I'll let Wendy go next one.
Fantastic. Thank you. We're going to get there. Don't worry. There's something we're going to be asking you. So please, it's so good to hear from you that you had challenges, obviously, and you were able to, cross those hurdles. Okay. So yes, let's hear from you, Wendy. Was this the part you chatted, or you planned chatting from the beginning, or was it something that just happened like that for you?
So there are some similarities between what I've just heard and my story as well. For me, what happened was, from when I was a teenager, when I was at school, I was really good at math. So math was my favorite subject. I would literally do math for fun. I just loved the subject. And then my teachers and my parents were like, okay, well, if you're really good at math, maybe you want to do something like engineering or medicine. I then didn't like biology, so engineering became the thing that I became more interested in. And just again, for the people who are hoping to take something away from today, I would have you know that when I applied to go to uni the first time around, I didn't get into engineering at uni. I got into computer science. I wasn't too happy about it, but I went and started computer science. halfway into the degree, my parents then encouraged me, since you really want to do engineering, why don't you try again? So I then got into engineering the following year. So I actually had to restart my degree. So this is basically to tell you that at that point, I mean, I was young, I was only about 17, and it was a little bit daunting knowing that I was going to have to start uni again with the next batch. We happened to be my younger sister's year of going into uni as well. But at the end of the day, I'm so pleased to say that there's a massive testimony at the back of it. So don't ever let a setback like that be the thing that pulls you back. And 17 is very, very, very young, in spite of what the world makes you think, like you have to have your life figured out at some age or the other. Anyway, so yeah, I did study engineering, electrical electronics, and then I did a master's degree. So my undergraduate was in Nigeria, but then I came to the UK to do my master's degree. And what happened was, before I came to do my master's degree, I'd done my NYSC in Nigeria, which is where they pushed you around to do something like an internship, really. And I ended up working in a bank. And I remember going home every single day after working in that bank, telling my mom, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. I need to find something that I can actually do in terms of my engineering degree, because that bank work was just a lot of, I mean, some people might love it, but it was just not the thing that I wanted to do. So I did my master's degree in the UK. And by the end of the year, I was able to get into a graduate role. So there's a separate testimony in itself there, because I was able to get, as an international student, a company that was going to sponsor my visa and effectively just take me through the entire grad scheme. And that was what got me to stay in the UK. And I've been here about 12 years now. So yeah, again, very much in relation to what Sister Yemi was saying, I found myself being one girl in the midst of about 50 guys in the office on my first day at work. I mean, it's the sort of thing that you expected. Even when we were at uni, we were very few girls. But when you're even during the like applications and interviews for the graduate roles in the engineering degrees, there are very, very few women. How much more even Black women? So finding the people that you can relate to was very, very, very tricky. But I think one thing that I would say has always worked for me is that I've always been willing to like put my best into everything, so that even when they put me beside all the guys, they can say, actually, if we're going to grade the value of work or the way this person is able to actually deliver, you know, this person is actually good enough. So it got me really pushing myself. And then at the end of the day, after a conversation with a friend as well, I realized that, well, maybe being the only girl is another thing that makes me unique. So why not me? You know, if they're going to pick anyone, you know, you have so many guys, why not try something different? You know, why not me? So yeah, that's kind of the short story of how I got into engineering. And I've been doing it ever since. But even though I really like to introduce myself as an engineer, but in terms of my role at the moment, my job title is something called R&D, which is Research and Development Product Approvals Manager. So I have teams of people doing product development, but in order for those products to be approved to be used on the railway in the UK, that's where my role sort of comes in, so that I can ensure that they can get their right safety certifications and all that kind of stuff. So I don't do coding on a day-to-day basis. Just in case you're thinking of engineering and you're thinking software, you don't have to be able to code. I don't code. You know, there's so many different varieties of roles and opportunities and experiences that you can explore even within that sort of bracket of engineering degrees and careers that you have out there.
Ooh, hallelujah. Wow, ladies, if you still have a friend that is missing here that you know will benefit from this, because you see, sometimes it's so difficult for you to convince people you're familiar with, you know, that these things are doable. But when they hear from other people, you know, it's sort of an encouragement or a nudge for them that, you know, we can do it and you can actually do it. I mean, we can hear from both ladies. They've talked about how they had challenges in their fields because they seem to be the only lady there. And I love the way Yewande put it, you know, she said, why not? Why not stand out? Why do you have to, you know, and sometimes what we think is a disadvantage for us can end up being your advantage, you know, to the next level. So thanks, ladies. So now you did mention, and then there was something Yemi said, which I really liked. And if you're a parent here, or your senior sibling, you know, she talked about how I remember back in the days as well, my mom got me to go and walk. She said, you just can't sit at home doing nothing. I remember I said to people, she told me that, you know what, you need to go and learn how to do tailoring or something. And today I regret I didn't do that, you know, because the kind of flair I have for fashion, I know I would have loved to be able to make those, even though I did it at a later stage. But then, of course, it would have been nice if I did it earlier. But then it felt like an insult. You know, the way sometimes you think, Mom, tailor, really, me, her. How can you say that? You know what I mean? Back from Nigeria then. So yeah, She mentioned about how her mom, told her do this, and then she went into computing. The same thing with her sister. So that tells you that sometimes you have people around you, they're angels, they're just people. God, don't close any door. Open your mind up. You just never know. I mean, look at where she is now. I'm sure she's thanking her mom and her sister that they obviously encouraged her to do that at that point in time. She's landed herself where she is now. She's doing well with it. So great. So if you're a mom here or something, don't feel bad sometimes when you encourage your children or nieces, nephews to do something different. Okay, so you talked about how you've had to, obviously you had men in your field, and that's obviously one hurdle that you had to. So it would be nice to know, how did you manage that? Now, in answering that as well, we also want to know, they say this, women can't have it all, is it possible? Irrespective of what your status are, can a woman actually have it all or cannot? Let's know, what do you think? Tell us based on your experience. And then, of course, what sacrifices you had to make to get to where you are today. It'll be nice to know.
Do you want me to go, Wendy? You're on mute. You're on mute.
I feel like I should go first because you're a mom
ahead.
and you have perhaps more riches to your story. So let me
Okay.
just drop the little one that I can. So the thing is, I think that in life, there's always going to be a place for trading something to get something else, right? For me personally, I left Nigeria. I was about 22, 21 when I left Nigeria, and leaving my parents behind, leaving everything I knew to come to the UK to, just come. It's a completely different society, completely different world, but it's something that I felt like I wanted to really chase this engineering career for myself, so it was something that I had to do. So I feel like there's always going to be a place for, making that trade-off. Every single day we make a trade-off to be on this call right now. You make a trade-off to go to church on a Sunday morning, there's always going to be a decision you're going to make. But one thing about me is I've always thought that, if I can make that decision based on something I truly believe and I truly want, when things get tough later on, then I can go back. Because I remember specifically, even while I was doing my master's degree, those of us who did an undergraduate in Nigeria and then did a master's in the UK, the learning system is a little bit different. And for us that did things like computer science or engineering as well, there is a certain level of experience with using some tools that some of your colleagues that came from America or UK already knew and were slightly ahead of us. So it was extremely difficult. I'm not even going to lie about that, when I was doing my master's degree. But one thing that always kind of just spurred me on was, you can go back to Nigeria and work in a bank because that's available, or you can chase this thing that you want. So I think if you have your motivations, and all our motivations are different. Some people, it's money they're looking for. For me, it was always about, I want to do this thing. I want to impact my world in this specific way. And when you have that motivation, I think that making the sacrifices then becomes a case of, okay, this is the thing I know I really want to do. And then you make your decision based on that. And that motivation will always keep you, I think, in line with what you want to achieve. You talked about, can women really have it all? So I really want to say, I need to answer that one, but what I'm gonna say is this. I think that we can have as much as we want when we set our minds to it. I shared with a friend recently that I remember when I started as a graduate, when I was only about 22, and I started in my grad scheme. And I was on a grad scheme with guys. I was the only girl. And from a small paycheck, one of my colleagues who was a guy was saying to me that, he was going to start to save for a mortgage. And my 22-year-old response to him was, I'm going to buy a house when I get married and have a husband, because I wasn't thinking about getting a mortgage, because the society I came from wasn't telling young women to try and save for a mortgage, But I'm saying that if we're raising girls, if we're raising women now, well, not just women, raising people, raising kids now, to understand that, look, start investing in your future from the beginning. So I think it's really about what are your motivations, and making sure that you're able to kind of build the best that you can from as young as you can. It would only make you more valuable as you go through life. So I think, yes, we can have as much as we want when we set our minds to it. So that's my little.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. You can have as much as you want when you set your mind to it. And of course, she did also mention sacrifice. There's always a sacrifice to make in everything. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much. So over to you, my lady.
Yes, yes, yeah. So can you have it all? Yes, you can, but there are a lot of sacrifices that you have to make. There's some, I know the sacrifices I had to make to get here, where all the men are getting into the office. I'm looking for childcare. I'm looking for au pair. I'm looking for somebody to do this. And men, they're out of the door. So I have to sort it. I have to make sure. So it was very challenging. As I was advising someone recently, I said there was a time that the kids had to go into nursery. I had to pay, or I had to pay for an au pair. There was two. I had an au pair in the house. I was paying for nursery. There was a time, by the time I finished paying for the nursery, paying all my expenses, for the rest of the month, I only had £50 to my name, because I had to sacrifice, because all my colleagues were men. I was the only woman there, and they were all there on time, getting work done, long hours. So the sacrifice I had to make was pay for someone to look after the kids for a while, so that I could be there, so that they don't say, "Oh, she's gone home, she has issues." I had a manager at one point that told me, "Oh, I don't think women," no, she didn't tell me. She told a colleague of mine, he told a colleague of mine that, "Oh, I don't think women that have kids should be working." That's really bashful. You can't say things like that. Whether I have kids, whether I choose not to have kids, it's up to me what I want to do and if I want to work. So yes, I think we can have it all. And I don't like the fact that people think that there are a lot of sacrifices, and people think, "Oh, is it one or the other?" And it's mostly the women that have to choose if it's one or the other. No, we shouldn't. We could have both, and both of them. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's very difficult. Sacrifices. I used to have to wake up at 6 in.the morning before I'm out. I'm sorry, 5 in.the morning. I'm out of the house by 6 in.the morning. So obviously it's the au pair that will have the bath for the child. We'll do all that. To look after the children, pick up the children from nursery, because I'm working late hours. I get back, I'm cranky, I'm tired, but I still have to do some things and have to wake up again the next morning. Weekends are the same. Weekends, the children will have to go for all their extra curriculums, like swimming, gymnastic lessons. So it's not like you're going to put up your feet and do nothing at all. Sunday, you're going to church. By the time you come back, you're trying to get your stuff ready, because your au pair doesn't work on Sundays, remember? So you have to iron the clothes that's left. You have to do that. Monday again, you're out. So, it was really hard, and then sometimes it's okay, guys, I need people to wait out. We're having a problem. There's a network problem. The European offices can't connect. The servers are down, and it's all right. Do you want to go home, Victoria? Why me? I'm like, I'm fine. I'll stay as well. But in my mind, I'm thinking, Jesus is Lord. So I have to send a message to my au pair. Do you mind working this? Do you mind doing that? So it's hard. It's hard work. But can we do it? Yes, we can. There's sacrifices that you have to make if you want to get. I remember Buki asked, you said, did I, in one of the questions, did we always think this is what we're going to do? I remember once a manager of mine called me and says, "Oh, what do you want to do? Career-wise, what do you want to do?" And I said, "Oh, I want to be a marriage counselor." And that's what I wanted to do. I said, "Oh, I would like to be a marriage counselor." And he goes, "Oh," so he was thrown back. I'm sure he thought I was going to say, "Oh, I want to be the head of IT that I am now." But no, that wasn't what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a marriage counselor, but I wanted to continue in my career. I wanted to do all the exams I had to do. I remember once we had an exam that we had to do. I think it was on this ITEL exams, and all of us had to do it. And obviously, I'm looking after the kids. I'm doing it. So I failed the exam. I failed. Everybody came, "Oh, we've passed. We all did it at different times. We've all passed." "Oh, Victoria, have you got yours?" I said, "No, I haven't." In my mind, I thought, "Oh my God, I failed it just by a couple of points." And what I did, I registered straight away for the next one over Christmas. I booked it. I think it was just before Christmas that I got the result and I failed it. So I booked it for immediately after Christmas. The agent said, "Oh, why don't you wait for a while because Christmas time?" I said, "No, it's fine." Over Christmas, I had Christmas dinner with my family. I went upstairs and I continued studying. I was studying all through Christmas. Every time I was studying, as soon as I got back, before I was on holiday, I went back, did the exam, got the result, and I passed. So, because obviously it's different, because I was multitasking a lot of things at the same time. So I couldn't concentrate and just do the exam that everybody was going for. There are many exams that we've gone through that I thought I can't afford to fail, because at the end of the day, sometimes the certificate even goes to your boss. So sometimes it comes to you. So you can't afford to fail, because the other guys, you can see them saying, "Oh, we're going to do this." So it's a struggle, but it's not impossible. So yes, can we do it all? Can we have it all? Yes, we can. I think we can. I know we can.
Hallelujah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies, for your contribution. So Yemi did say here that she knows we can. And of course, one day defaulted to her. She said you can have as much as you can or you want, which is exactly, I think, what Yemi's buttressed here with her experience, that, she was able to bite as much as she could, but of course she had to make sacrifices in order to make that happen. And of course, considering the fact that that wasn't even the line she was towing from the beginning, that doesn't mean she can't still be a marriage counselor, because the good thing is, having been through what she's been through, I guess if somebody who hasn't been through a journey is counseling somebody who's been through this journey, it's going to be an issue. So you see where sometimes our life experiences adds up to wherever it is that we're set to go. So no career path, no what's it called, knowledge or experience is lost. You know, it's always something for the future. Fantastic. So there's somebody here who's sort of dropped in the chat and said, we can't have it all. Or we can, sorry, I beg your pardon. We can have it all, but not at the same time, you know. And of course, I do agree with that because I think it all depends on you. But it would be lovely to know from the rest of the people here online. I really want to hear from you. Do you think you can have it all as a lady, or we can have it all as a lady? Or do you think, you know, in measures or one thing after the other, or do you think we can't even have it at all? You know, it would be lovely to hear from you because obviously we have different views and no one is right or wrong, because I think it all depends, just like Wendy has set the tone, is for how much you want to. And of course, it depends on what is it that you're actually looking out for in life, because your goal might just be you want to be known that you're the best mother that ever came to the world. And the truth of the matter is, if you failed at that, you failed as far as you were concerned. Whereas for someone like Wendy, who mentioned at the beginning that, you know, she wanted a particular career path and she had to ask herself, do you really want this thing? And what sacrifices do you have to make? You know, which is why she had to dump the bank and keep pursuing a career in engineering. So it's actually, what do you really want for yourself? And that is so important. Okay, fantastic, ladies. So please, if you have any contributions on that question, we really want to hear from you. Let us know, what do you think? Can a woman really have it all? You know, and of course, if they can, what are your contributions? Thank you so much. Okay, so ladies, the next question I've got for you here is, what are the key qualities or skills, you know, that you need or require to be a successful leader in your field? What qualities do you think a leader has to possess, you know, to have all of these things? So some ladies are thinking, okay, it's so easy for you to say, but, you know, and this and that and that and that, you know. So let's hear from you. What qualities would you say, you know, what key qualities or skills do you need or require to be a successful leader in your field? Or what has helped you? You know, what qualities would you say has helped you?
When did you want to go first?
Okay, no problem. Again, yeah, I can start and then you can drop all the wisdom on top of it.
I invented that.
I actually have one that I think is the number one absolute thing that people don't realize, and that is, as you start to go ahead in your career, you need to learn how to recognize good talent around you and delegate. Because what you're doing there is you're building an empire around you. A lot of really, really excellent engineers, doctors, people in whatever profession, the issue tends to be that they're so intelligent, they're so good, but everything is in your brain, and your brain is very limited. But if you're able to recognize young talent around you, start hiring or start delegating to people that you know are really good and you can trust. What's happening is that you're building an army of people that respect you, are able to work for you. You're essentially, even if you don't necessarily have a job title called manager or whatever in it, you are making yourself into a leader that when they're looking for someone to say, who can manage this big portfolio for us, you've already exhibited that quality. So I think it's learn how to delegate, recognize talent around you, and build that strong team around you. That is my number one thing. Another really important thing that I've learned from a lot of leaders I respect, because I have a lot of mentors, and I've walked up to people and I said, I like this thing about you and I want to learn how to do that. And one of the things that I've picked up from some of my mentors is that it's this thing about resilience. There is no single, and I read a lot of autobiographies as well. There isn't a single person who has written a story of their life and would tell you, I planned it, it worked exactly as it was going to go. There's always going to be life that's going to knock you in all sorts of places, and you're going to have to make sacrifices, as we've talked about. You might need to change strategy, change direction at some point. But it is how quickly or how well are you able to gather yourself after that next challenge and go, okay, now I need to focus again. I need to refocus. I need to re-strategize. I need to take a new turn, you know, that kind of thing. So that resilience in a leader, that ability to stay calm and make the next plan when things look like they're not going right. That's another thing I think is really important. And that's related to the other thing I was thinking about, which is just generally being someone who plans. I know a lot of people that like to do last minute, and people who are close to me know how frustrated I get when it all has to be last minute. Because as I am like this, I want to know, okay, yeah, obviously we plan and it's God's grace, you know, that brings it to fruition, but we need to know now what we're doing for Christmas. I'm sorry, we just need to have a plan. This is already September. Do you see what I mean? So I think being able to plan ahead, you know, it then also helps you to understand, okay, what are the resources I might need for that thing that we're planning? And then when you start to see that, oh, some resources might not be in place, again, you're able to understand how to re-strategize. So I would say, yeah, that thing about delegation, recognizing talent, resilience, and being able to plan, those ingredients, I think, would really help being a successful leader.
Thank you. That's fantastic. Yeah. So don't forget, you know, we're going to get into mentoring in a bit, you know, but she's obviously been able to contribute here. So we see that she obviously has mentors, you know, and then she said something about the importance of resilience. You know, it's so important that, you know, we don't just throw in the towel. And of course, people who get frustrated, I'm sure you have people like that around you who get frustrated about the fact that you don't know what the next thing is. Like, how can you tell me you don't know what the plan for Christmas is? You know, so you see that planning is something that has really, really worked for her as well. So thank you, ladies, for the nugget. So yes, over to you. Yemi, how do you manage that?
Honestly, one day I'm sure you had to look at all the bullet points I had on my screen. Because honestly, I think, okay, when are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? And you think you haven't thought about that. You need to think ahead. You know, like, just like you going on a dark road and you can just see at the bonnet, you need to put your full light on to see further ahead. Don't get me wrong, you might plan ahead. It might not go the way you plan it. So sometimes I'm frustrated, you know, I'm sure Buki can tell you on our launch team, we need to do this. We need to do that because I'm a planner. I can be spontaneous in some aspects of my life. I'm not going to dispute that, but I like to know. You know, when I was still single and I was working in the city, I used to iron all my suits and clothes for the week. No, I know there's no NEPA here. They weren't going to take the light or anything like that. So, but I just used to plan ahead. I might change my mind in between and wear a dress on Thursday, but I have the option there waiting for me to wear this gray suit or to wear the black suit on Friday. Friday was dressed down, so that I used to do for 4 days. So at the end of the day, you need to be able to plan ahead. Planning helps a lot. It might not always go that way, but at least you have something planned. You have something written down. And sometimes it might come across as you're a micromanager, or you're being a bit, you know, as said, some women can be a bit too hard, but no, because I know you can do it. I send my team, I said, what's the plan? What plan, or what do you think the IT, what are the difficulties, the risk we're going through, what we should work on, what we're having a away day next week. And I've sent them, what's the strategy has to align with the company's strategy as well. So what are the plans that we have in place? What technology rolls on very quick. We can't afford to be behind. So what are we doing? Are we moving? We're hybrid at the moment. Should we go, you know, should be on the cloud completely? How do we do that? We have the forecasting coming. By next year, June, financial year is that we need to say, okay, this is what we want. And when you're doing the forecasting tells you what you want to do ahead. So if you don't have a plan, how are you going to put anything in your forecast? How's your budget going to be aligned with what you want? So you need to think ahead. You need to, you know, it's difficult. As I said, you don't always go that way. Sometimes there might be inflation. Sometimes there might be an inflation and everything. But, you know, but at least you have it there. You have an idea what's there. And delegating. Before, I used to take everything on my head, do all the work, do this, do that. I'll give you an example of what my son said to me. I think I said it when we had the lounge here with Hybrid. My son we're washing the place, and my son said, oh, what's addiction? And I said, addiction is when you can't stay away from something. You find it hard to stay away. And then he said, oh, so that means you're addicted to work. Yeah, honestly, that, you know, and I had to, because sometimes, you know, you have to realize that you can't do everything. A good manager would delegate. It's if you're saying you're breaking down, you're tired, you're stressed, that means you haven't delegated. Yes, it might come across that I'm lazy. Yes, let it be that I'm lazy, but I'm delegating because I know you. If you bring it back to me, there's a high chance you've only done 50-60% of it, and I'm going to do the rest. Some people in my team, as I said, people on my team are all different. Some people come with only 20%, and I'm even surprised when that 20% comes because I was expecting 10. So I'll do the rest, but I still give them a chance to have a go at it. So delegating your stuff is very, very good. So that way you can finish your, you can go do your 9 to 5 sheet like anybody else, and you don't have to stay on. Before I used to work like nearly 12 hours a day. 12 hours a day. I used to work long hours because I thought I could do it all. Yes, you can, but you need to delegate. And sometimes another thing I've realized is that in your team, you need to let them know that you can do the work you're asking them to do, because I started from the beginning. So what I tell you to do, I have done it. I have done it and done more. So you can juggle it. So this is the way I did it. And I know I'm now at the managerial level, but sometimes I like it when I have to do some technical jobs. And that's when you get to meet the users a lot more. You talk a lot more. Sometimes, quoting some people, it can be lonely at the top. But then, you have to still let them know that, you know what you're doing. If there's any technical issues, we have meetings every day. Let me know any technical barriers you're doing. And then so delegating, letting them know you can do what you've told them to do, tell them to ask for your advice. And so that way your brain isn't rusty as well. You can still tell them, this is how I did it then. I did this, that, give this. So it's always good to be able to delegate, to plan, and let them know that you can do what you've asked them to do. So I'm not just sitting down here and calling you to do X, Y, Z. I have done X, Y, Z. I know what time and what energy entails. So your own plan experience as well is something you can share with your team.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I think what we can hear from that undertone as well is somebody put here, oh, yes, Yemi, you're micromanager. So it must be somebody that knows her very
She's
well.
my very good friend, yes.
Absolutely. And, like you said, on the team as well with us, sometimes I call her boss lady. She obviously wants things to be mapped out the way, which is fantastic. And I think, that's something that if we don't have yet, it's something that you can obviously emulate. It just makes life a lot easier for one. My daughter is pretty much like that, very organized people. They just want to know. And I think sometimes for people as well, maybe because they've had situations where they've planned in time past, and like you said, it obviously didn't come the way they wanted it. And that for some people has been why they chew the towel in and they think, you know what, there's no point planning. Let's just let God just, order my steps and I just take it that way. You've been encouraged here today now that it doesn't necessarily mean that if you plan, it has to go exactly the same way, but at least for whatever it's worth, it's work planning so that you can at least work with that and you're not everywhere at the same time, just running around like a headless chicken, which sometimes drains us. And then another thing they said, which is so important as well, is the fact that, when you delegate, you delegate to people, they are also learning in the process, and you're not that kind of manager who does the work for, whoever. So we do have people here who obviously can be sitting in that same hot seat where we've got Yemi today and one day, and they're thinking, how can I do better? Because the whole idea is to be able to cover everybody here, whether you're starting, when you're already there and you want to sort of add some bits and bobs to what you're already doing to be better. And of course, we also want to hear from you. So if you've got any contributions. Now, based on the question I had earlier, somebody did mention, what do we mean by having it all? So we're saying, can you be a mom? Can you be a wife? Can you be, even if you were single, can you be single at the same time chasing your career, family? Because the truth of the matter, we do have extended family. We have parents as well. We have, those things. We have friends. Can you party hard and, be a church girl and be everything and all over the place at the same time? So that's what we mean when we say, can you have it all? At the same time, can a woman have it all? Because sometimes we beat ourselves up because we feel I'm only able to chew as much at the same time, but we've been encouraged here at the same time as well. It all depends. What's your definition of having it all? It's for you to decide. What do you mean when you say having it all for yourself, or what it is that makes you tick or will make you feel you've achieved and when you want to actually score yourself as far as success is concerned. Okay, so please, if you have any questions, don't forget, can you pop that in the chat? We really, truly want to hear from you. It would be lovely to hear what you've got to say. And people have got here as well. Yes, you can have it all, but not at the same time. It seems like most people are saying pretty much the same thing, not at the same time. Which is where sacrifice is. And I've got someone here who says, very quickly, I'm going to read that out. It says, I think it's understanding that our lives are in seasons and just having our eyes on the ball for all each person's all is specific to them, you know, which
That's
is what I
correct.
just said now. And then to be quite frank, like the person said as well, thank you so much for reminding us there are seasons, you know, seasons of everybody's life. Some people decide to delay it and do it later. There's something my mom of blessed memory would normally say in local parlance, you know, like there's no time that you know, the way we do Ashwebi, I don't know what, if that's, you know, that's not the literal meaning, but there's no time you put out your clothes that you can't wear it, you know. I have clothes of God knows how many years that I still wear. People are like, this is lovely. And I'm thinking, yeah, I've had it for a while, but then it's still good. So anytime you shake yourself up and you say, you know what, it's time to go for it, you're able to, that's what it means. So never think that you're not there yet, or you're still you know, trying to be, but I think it's so important. And somebody's got to hear that flexibility and adaptability is so important. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's so true. And then someone from YouTube said, this can be relative to each person, but in our opinion, having it all, which is marriage, career, professional growth, spirituality, can be very dependent on the support system you have. And I love the fact that this person shared this, which is so important, because I think sometimes the challenge people have when they come to programs like this is some go deflated, thinking, oh, look at that lady, she's having it all. Why am I not having it all? But the truth of the matter is, Yemi's had to say to us, she's had to pay 2 or pay sometimes at the same time. And she was happy to live with 50 pounds. So if you're not happy to live with 50 pounds, which means you can't shop.
I didn't have a choice.
You know, so you see why we say you can't, sometimes you can't have it all at the same time. And that's the truth of the matter, you know. So you've got to cut your coat. At that point in time, I'm sure she's not thinking about what are you selling? I can buy this, I want to buy that, or shop. Because it's 50 pounds she's got left, you know. So there's always something to give, you know. So your support system, it's also very important. And that's going to take us to the next level. So how is it that women, you know, can support one another? We're talking about all of this now. How is it that women can actually, you know, support one another in this journey as they go on? It would be lovely to share your experience. And then, of course, on the back of that, you know, women are usually portrayed as, oh, they're bossy leaders. You know, Yemi said something here initially in relation to that. So how do you think women can actually support one another in this journey, especially for those who are feeling they don't even have that kind of support system at the moment, but they really want to do more than they're already doing, you know? So over to you, ladies.
How would I support other women that want to do in different, you know, it depends on what aspect of your career. It depends on what career, the aspect of career that you're doing. Like one day saying she has a master's degree, some people have PhD. I don't have a master's degree. I don't have PhD. Yeah. But I have my degree. Yeah. But the thing is, when I finished my degree, I thought, phew, that's it. My mom, bless her, as soon as she's dead now. And when she died is when I stopped hearing, go for your master's, go for your master's, go for your master's. I know if my mom was still alive, I think I would have done it. So just because somebody has a PhD and you think, oh, don't feel intimidated, you know, you can still get there. I've got people in my team that don't even have degrees. And by law now, when you're applying for a role, I'm not sure if it applies to other organizations. Well, in my organization, let me say, it's not a requirement to have a degree now. You're not allowed, because before, when you do a job description, you put essential degree, exception, you know, it's essential you have a master's degree. We don't put that there anymore. If you have it, it's a bonus. If you have the experience, if you like something, go for it. Don't let anyone put you down saying you have to have your PhD, you have to have 2 to 4 degrees and this. Because in this country is very good. It helps you, it gives you, you can go for training, you can have apprentice role. There are many things that I wish I knew when I was much younger. I wish, you know, that we're talking about mortgage. When they said, you know, to get your mortgage. I remember one uncle and auntie of mine said, when I was walking the city, then I was going to buy a property, and he goes, oh, and said to me, don't buy if you buy a property, you won't have husband. Nobody will marry you if you buy it, because they will think, but that's not the case. My sister's married to a medical doctor. When she had a flat, he moved in with her. All the houses after that, he's bought for them. But initially, he didn't have a place. He moved in. My sister, that was my sister's property. Now the rest are their property. So, you know, do not despise, you know, humble beginnings. So what would work for one person will not work for another person. So if I didn't buy my property then, and, you know, I won't have, be on the property ladder. So don't let anybody say you can't do this. Everybody can do things at different things. You can have a degree and you can get a good job. You can have a master's, you can get a good job. But you have to have the experience. And don't let the sky, you know, here they put a limit. If you ask me, I'll be head of IT now. I said no, because all the head of ITs we've had are male. majority of them have been white. So you can get there. Sometimes I get into meetings and I think, oh my God, they're all male and they're white. And then I put a bit of color in it, when you look at all the, yeah, but the thing about it is I go in looking very confident. Maybe I've just cried out a minute ago and put on my, yes. And I have my boss lady, face on. So you don't have to be, you don't have to be, intimidated. I know it can be very daunting, but you can go there, just say what you know, don't oversay things. You don't have to talk. Sometimes I go into meetings, I don't say much because I tell Victoria, can we hear your opinion? And everybody keeps quiet. They want to hear your opinion. So don't go in there with information overload. I'm going to show them that I did this. I show them that. No. You understand? You can get there, just be you. If you don't know something, just say you don't know something. And, if you want more information, but it's good to have a network. I had a boss once that said, oh, do you want to have a network of head of IT managers? I would love to have that because I think a friend of mine was telling me that a lot of accountants have that. Once they've done their ACCA, they all have a group where they have a group and they all, share experiences. It'd be nice to have that. Then again, you can also learn from people. But if you're inspired to be like someone or you want to be like someone, ask them. Like when they said, you'll go up to someone. I didn't have that. I didn't really have that. I had friends that are successful in their own fields, and I have vast of friends in different fields that are doing very well in their own fields. But so if you have, it's only recently in the last few years that I had a few ladies that were women of color, and they were on senior management teams. And they just took a shining to me, and I kind of grasped onto that, and they would tell you how to get there.
Yes.
You'll be surprised. The thing I think about it is that there's this Yoruba saying, you know how you say it in English, you won't be the same. But if you don't know the way somebody gets to somewhere, you will go in circles and circles, not knowing it's just ahead of you. So sometimes, just humble yourself, get a mentor. Get somebody, Wande reads books a lot. I don't read as much as I used to, which is one thing I want to go back to, is on my bucket list. That you should do, just go back into reading about people and finding out. You will get there. You will get. It's not impossible. No, we don't have two heads. So if you want to get somewhere, if you want to go somewhere, you can. Don't let anyone tell you different.
Hallelujah. Thank you so much, Amy, for that, And I think it's so lovely that she touched on the fact that I was going to ask the question about, do you need all the degrees? Because sometimes that's the limiting factor for a lot of people. They're thinking, oh, they said you must have this, you must have that. And they're trying to acquire all the degrees and they're not moving anywhere. And nothing is even happening. But you hear from Yemi now, she doesn't even have a master's, she doesn't have the PhD, but she's, in that top job now. So if you're here and you're still thinking about it, I think you need to be speaking to her. How did you do it? Like she said, it's always good to ask questions. Even the Bible tells us, ask and you will receive, seek, you will find. When we don't ask, we keep going round in circles. So please feel free, anybody here tonight or this afternoon, ask anyone you think that they're in your field, even if they're not, you never can tell. Sometimes what works in this field might be able to work even within your field. Sometimes it's just got to do with things like reading a book, I love reading people's autobiography. But I tell people these days, when I go for funerals, all I want to hear, I'm not listening to every other thing, I'm just going to hear about the person's life because I want to take something away. Why are they, who they are? And that's what really matters, So yeah, those are the things that sometimes we need to lash on to make that difference. So one day it would be lovely to hear from you. What would you?
Well,
yeah,
there was so much more to say.
Yeah,
there's so much in what Yemi said, and I can relate to that. I specifically want to touch on the example of, I think you talked about some senior women in leadership you once met. I remember meeting this particular two ladies. I once went to an industry dinner. I ended up sitting on their table and talking to them, and I ended up just getting their contacts and all of that. And they're very senior women in the same rail industry where I work now. And they started calling me their mentee before I started calling them my mentor. And it's been so amazing because they occupy such senior level positions that a couple of years ago, I wasn't even looking for a job. One of them emailed me and said, please, can you let me know when you're looking for your next opportunity? Because I'm looking for someone with X, Y, and Z. And this is another thing I really wanted to say, your network and who you know can be the thing that opens the doors. Yeah. You're not going to be applying for jobs. The type of job you want is going to be coming around you simply because you're surrounded by people who understand how good you are at what you do. And once something comes up that sounds like the thing they know you for, it will come your direction. So, I think one of the issues, because the original question Mr. Buki asked was around how women are in terms of supporting themselves. And I've been in the unfortunate situation as well, which is the opposite of what I've just said, where I started working in a particular office, and a few months down the line, when we did International Women's Day, another Nigerian lady came up to me and said, before today, she was actually a bit envious when I joined because she liked the fact that she was the only Black woman and she had like this place to herself. And she saw me instantly as her competition, even though there are other people doing similar jobs. Because I look like the same description, I instantly became the person she saw as her competition. And there's no reason for us to see each other as competition in that way. Because number one, your strengths could be my weakness and my strengths could be yours. And there is a way that we can strengthen each other and lift each other up. So let's build those synergies. Let's stop looking at each other as competition. Or even if we want to see each other as competition, let's do it in a sort of healthy way. Let our competitiveness drive each other to be better. Let's not look at each other as if, oh, I don't want you here, I'm going to put you down or pull you down. So I think maybe because we started to see ourselves, and I know Sister Emi said the same thing about her experience, you know, you were the woman who was the mom who everybody was thinking she has kids and therefore she might not be able to work late. If there was a second woman there who did not have kids and therefore was able to work late without thinking about kids, you know, what was the relationship going to be? Was she going to be the person saying to other people, oh yeah, she's got kids, you know, she can't handle this, you know, or was she going to be the woman going, this woman is doing everything. You people need to appreciate the fact that this woman is doing 200%, you know. So let's be the kind of people who can encourage each other and support each other. And let's just, as each one of us on this call, you know, goes to work tomorrow or next week and sees other women that needs to get to where we're going, let's be that mentor. Let's be that woman at the top pulling the next person up. And as we're going up, you know, again, we kind of already talked about it earlier as well. You know, it's about recognizing talent. Because I like to talk to like young people a lot, you know, teenagers, uni students, and I'm always telling them my story, especially the bits that didn't work out quite well. Because when you ask my siblings or my mom, they will tell you about the times when I won awards in school, or they will tell you about how I got A's in math and blah, blah, blah. No one will tell you that I had to go and start uni again, but I will tell you that because I want you to know that, look, I might have accolades now, but it's not because everything has always been perfect. So I want you to understand that you can get to where I am, you can surpass even where I am. So let's be that network that we need, each one of us, and let's pull each other up. The last thing I'm going to say is, I've also been in this very interesting situation where I had a very senior director say to me that some of the guys have told him that they find me intimidating. And I found that really, really interesting, because if you see me in real life, I'm not a tall person, I'm quite small. And my voice is not harsh or anything like that. But one thing I will tell you, and we've talked about confidence, is that I think I know what I know. So if I go into a meeting and I say something and I'm confident about what I'm saying, I will say it. You know, no disrespect, not anything, but someone somewhere now decides to find that intimidating. Well, I think that's a little bit unfortunate. They might come at you and say, you're intimidating, as long as you're not harassing anybody, you're not being aggressive, you're not doing anything wrong. My sister, be yourself. That's what I'm gonna say.
I agree with you. But you know, sorry, can I quickly put this in, Buki?
Yeah.
I know I've seen one day before, she's nice and petite. I am tall. I am nearly 6 feet tall. So already they're intimidated. You know, so no matter what, you're tall, you're short, you're medium, if they find you intimidating, they will just look for an excuse to say that. So yes, I thought I'll drop that nugget in.
Good. Thank you, ladies. And you know, a couple of things they've said there. Knowledge is obviously power. And I think that's the reason why they can both stand tall wherever they are. Knowledge can be gotten anywhere. And you know, another thing that did resonate from both of the two as well is the fact that your network is your net worth. And it's important to know that, because some of the ladies that they encountered, you know, were people they just met and they can point you in the right direction, like they said. And it's important to know that, you know, like the Bible says, if you want a friend, you've got to make yourself friendly. And that's where networking comes in, you know. And I think that's the reason why they were able to meet these people. Obviously, they just like their persona, they loved something about them, and they wanted to be their friend. And they're like, you know what? Anything you want, just come to me. I'm ready to give it to you. So I think it's important that, you know, the way we carry ourselves as well really goes a long way. I've got a few comments here. We've got to end at 5 o'clock and it's 1:55. We're going to have pattern, obviously, what's it called? Questions or shares from both of you. But before then, let me just quickly read what we've got here. Someone says, they say a lot where they are threatened by your knowledge. Yeah. And another person says, yes, know your stuff. Yeah, yes, know your stuff. It can be intimidating some people. Well, it's not your fault that you've had to read. You've put time in to read and get those knowledge, and at the end of the day, you've got to share what you've got, because when they don't know what you know,
Yeah,
there's no way they're going to be able to even promote you, or even recommend you for a position. So you've got to shine. If you've got it, ladies, keep shining. Somebody says here, being the woman at the top, pulling others up, love it. Yeah, fantastic. So they've mentioned here as well, you can decide to have like small network groups where you can pull each other up. And then there was something they said as well about, you've got other people as well around your circle that are doing great. Celebrate them. Don't be the one to tear them down, because you feel insecure in yourself. You never know. That might be your ticket to the next level that you're going to. So don't mess up the opportunity. All right, let me see any other contributions so that we don't leave anyone out. Your mentor could also be a younger person. Yes, it could be a younger person. So never be too shy, because if they got there before you, it could be for any reason. It doesn't really matter. What's important is your goal, where you're headed for. So don't think about it that, why would I be asking somebody, when were you born? That doesn't really matter. They know what you don't know, so why not, embrace it and then get what you want out of it. Fully agree, so long as you're willing to learn. Fantastic. And here, let me see. I guess I've taken all of the contributions we've got here. Let me just check to be sure that there's none left out. Yeah, I think everything has been taken. So thank you, ladies. We want you to leave a pattern gift to the ladies. I'm sure we've all come to take quite a lot out, because these ladies have been so bare with us. They've opened up and shared, from the bottom of their heart with so much passion, their experiences and those things that they had to deal with as well. So what would your pattern gift would be for the ladies online this evening, just to encourage them?
Let me go first. I'll go quickly. I actually wrote this down almost as soon as you asked me to join this call. And the thing I wanted to say is, a lot of times we look for this magnificent big event before we say, I've achieved something. And most of us go to work, do our careers and everything every day in pursuit of some kind of achievement or the other. But what we miss sometimes is the fact that we have those small achievements every day. And it's about being able to kind of have that mindset of understanding that, look, this is where I was yesterday. This is where I'm going to, but I've not reached where I'm going, but I've actually moved ahead. So understand how to celebrate your mini milestones and interim milestones. Understand how to see yourself growing from where you used to be. So you're not necessarily going to become the ultimate best leader in the world on the first day you try, but you're taking steps towards it. Keep taking those steps, record those steps. Recording those steps gives you a chance to go back and ask yourself, what have I achieved? And anyone that knows me at all knows that I will always talk about your CV. Those little achievements, stick them in your CV. Even if you're not looking for a job right now, just put them in a draft Word document somewhere, so that at some point when you need to arrange your CV to apply for a job, you're not just trying to remember what you did in the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years on your previous job. You actually have those interim milestones in ready kind of for you to go and edit and put it away. So yeah, celebrate those interim achievements. Don't wait until, I don't know, you win $10 million before you celebrate. Celebrate those interim things, reflect on your achievements, and let those things be the thing that encourage you to the next steps that you would take. So that's what I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Let's hear from you, Yemi.
Yeah, yes, I agree with celebrating all your achievements, and it's good to write them down as well. But the thing about it is, what you need to know is there's nothing you cannot do. There's nothing, if you put your all in all, there's nothing you can do. Don't let anyone limit. And I'm not here to speak Christianese, but what I know is sometimes I'm going into the meetings and I'm thinking, just Jesus, take the wheel. I haven't been sleeping when I say Jesus, take the wheel. I've been doing some work. Maybe I'm not confident enough. Maybe I don't think I've done enough work, but I have done some work. So don't go sleeping and thinking, Jesus, take the wheel. No, you need to do some work as well. But sometimes you go in there and think, oh my, take the wheel. And Jesus, he would definitely take the wheel. He would do things for you. People would be in your favor. You'd be thinking, oh, I agree, Victoria, You'd be thinking, okay, so what you need to do is just pray in everything you do. Don't limit yourself. Don't think, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not tall enough, I'm not short enough, I'm not slim enough. No. Don't, there's always something, that would try and hinder you back or try and make you think you're not good enough to do what you can do. But there's nothing you can do. If it means you have to study more, if you have to have more certificate, go for more trainings, then do that. If it means that you have to speak to people that are much younger than you and say, you've done it, well done. What do you think I can do to get there? Then do that. If it means to, get a buddy, somebody at work, sometimes they have some buddies at work where you buddy up, see what you can do, achieve it, write down all your achievements as Wande said, and then, make sure by the 10th of May, I need to have gotten to at least number 10 on my achievement goals. Have a bucket list of what you want to do. But if you don't get there, don't kick yourself. There's nothing like failure. And if you do fall down, you get up. You get up and continue from that number where you stopped. And most people, when they say they're high up, they've gotten out there, it's because they've gone through a lot of things. I've gone through bullying. I've gone through racism. I've gone through intimidation. I've gone through all those things to get well. I'm not thick-skinned. There's sometimes I've broken down. I've cried, wiped my ears, turn the camera back on and go for it. But you go through a lot of hurdles, but don't let any of those pull you down. You'd be surprised the people that have gone through worse than we have gone through. So if there's anything as a Black, strong woman, you can do anything that you put your mind to. Please don't feel intimidated and don't let everyone tell you different.
Ladies, you can do anything you want to. You've heard that today. And there's something she said. She said, don't say, because she demonstrated that already. She told us how she would go into the office, pray. So prayer is so key. And don't forget, when they say faith, I was reading somewhere, it says faith does not mean being inactive. Faith means taking actions,
right,
until you finally get there. So don't say I have faith. Your faith has to be demonstrated through the actions you're taking. That is telling God, I believe you, and I'm taking this action because you said to. Someone is getting here. Please do not ever think you're not enough or you don't know much. It's false limitation we put on ourselves. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. And finally, ladies, they've said a lot of thank you, hearts they've sent to you, claps, just saying thank you all over the place. Can you just celebrate these ladies? They've been amazing today. They've shared their heart. Thank you so much. We can't thank you enough. We have actually run over by 7 minutes, but we can't but thank Pastor Jumoke, who is our family life pastor, for putting this together for the ladies. So please, we're looking forward to seeing you again next month. We always have amazing topics to talk about, but things that you leave. And I know that the ladies who've come here today, your life is not going to be the same. And the next time we're coming back, you're going to be telling us what you've been able to do, even with the nuggets you've taken out from here. So thank you so much, ladies. The ladies behind the scene, you've not seen them, but they've made this happen. They've been making sure that everything is going well. We celebrate you. Thank you so much. And for you ladies who took out your 1 whole hour, wow, you should be sleeping, I know, and doing other things. Thank you so much. We celebrate you and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thank you, ladies. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the weekend. We love you and we look forward to seeing you again. God bless you. And thank you again. Our panelists, you were wonderful. We love you.
Thank you, Buki. Thank you so very much for that. Thank you, Yemi. Thank you, Yewande. God bless you. Amazing. I've had a lovely time hiding behind my declaration. Thank you, ladies, for coming. God bless you. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you.